to hold it together. Yep, we're not going to start laughing like we did in the last take. Turned my phone off. So it's all very natural.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Hi, my name is Lauren Vandepass, and I study the evolution and development of marine invertebrates.
Hi, I'm Gideon Dunster, and I study human sleep patterns and how they affect our daily lives. And we're both graduate students here at the University of Washington in the Department of Biology.
So, welcome to our video. In this video, we will walk you through the various materials that make up a complete application package for the graduate school at the University of Washington Department of Biology. At the end of this video, we hope that you will have a better understanding of what to include, how to prioritize your effort, and some tips for how to get the most out of your application so that you can make sure to put your best foot forward.
While the advice in this video is geared towards the application process for UW Biology, many graduate programs across the United States require similar materials, such as letters of recommendation or personal statements. Thus, much of this advice should translate regardless of what school you're applying to. However, it is always your responsibility to familiarize yourself with the application requirements for any program that you're interested in.
In addition to the standard demographic information, a complete application also contains a copy of your CV, a personal statement, and several letters of recommendation. As of 2018, our department no longer requires GRE scores. However, plenty of programs do, and we will talk briefly about that.
Let's start with the references. Each program may have different ways they solicit input from outside sources about you. Some use letters of recommendation, which are prepared ahead of time and usually are open-ended. Others will ask for the contact information of your references and reach out directly to them for a phone or an email conversation. Still others will send questionnaires or sets of questions to your references to have them return them by a specific deadline.
For many programs, these letters are the most important part of your application. They are the primary way that an admissions committee can get a sense of your personality, your talents, and your work ethic from an outside source. Here at University of Washington, we ask for contact information for 3 references, which is a pretty standard number for most programs.
Make sure you know what form your references will be asked to speak for you. Preparing a letter of recommendation takes different consideration than answering a series of short answer questions, and you should let your references know as soon as you can what they should expect.
Due to the weight that your letters will carry, it is important to put some thought into who you will ask to speak on your behalf. The best recommendations are personal, detailed, and come from a faculty member. Ideally, you would ask a professor with whom you've worked or whose class you've taken. The more interaction you've had, the better, as they will be able to write more intimately about who you are.
In the event that you do not have 3 faculty whom you feel comfortable asking, professional research staff can be good references as well if they have enough experience with your work. One of the hardest parts about choosing your references is balancing the value of someone who knows you and your work well with someone who works in a high enough position of authority to be validated. In general, we do not recommend that you ask graduate students or TAs for letters of recommendation.
Once you have identified who you want to ask as your reference, it is important to give them plenty of time to prepare a good recommendation. At the very minimum, you should ask 1 month in advance of the submission date. 6 weeks in advance is ideal, especially if you're asking a faculty member who may be particularly busy. That also gives you time if it takes an individual a week to get back to you about writing a letter, or to find another suitable candidate if your first choice is unavailable.
When asking someone to act as a reference, be sure to include a link to the program or job that you are applying to so they can have a sense for how to tailor their letter. In addition, provide a current resume or CV and offer to meet with them in person in case they have any questions or would like to get to know you more. Finally, 2 weeks before the submission deadline, it is always a good idea to reach out and remind your references of the due date.
The second most important part of your application packet are your essays. For UW Biology, we require 2 essays, a research essay and a personal statement. The research essay is intended to get a sense of how our department fits with your professional research goals. The personal essay is your best opportunity to introduce yourself to the committee and explain how you would be a good fit as a graduate student.
For the research statement, it is important to think about the ways that the resources and faculty in our department will help support your success. Graduate school is an investment, both on the part of the student and on the department. In addition to paying your tuition and salary, it takes a substantial amount of time and effort to train someone in the necessary lab techniques. This is your opportunity to explain how you have prepared for this next step in your career to be a productive lab member.
Because each program and even each lab is different, it is important that you take the time to familiarize yourself with the department you're applying to before writing your research statement. Identify key faculty who are doing work that excites or interests you and reference them in your essay. Find out if there are any professional ties to other places in your institution, like museums, field sites, institutes, or other resources that might be important for your PhD, and explain how these would help you. The more that you learn about where you're applying, the better your research statement will be.
In contrast, the personal statement should introduce us to who you are as an individual. Why do you really want to get your PhD? What in life has led you to this point? How have you overcome challenges in your life thus far? Don't be scared to put your own personality into it. A unique piece of work can help you stand out in a pile of hundreds of applicants. You have limited space, so be efficient in your writing and creative in your presentation. This is your only opportunity to showcase who you are, so take that opportunity and run with it.
Keep in mind that admissions committees read hundreds of statements every year, and as such, they are very good at recognizing when someone has taken the time to think seriously about these questions and to answer them honestly. The worst thing you can do, short of not writing a personal statement at all, is write a bland, generic work that could apply to any other applicants. You're applying to graduate school. A lot of your peers are hardworking, smart, and driven. But what sets you apart? What makes you unique? These are not easy questions to answer, but the answers will help you write a strong personal statement.
After you've finished your essays, the next thing on your list should be your CV. Like a resume, your CV should be a list of relevant accomplishments and skills that prepared you for graduate school. Unlike a resume, it can be longer than a single page. Most importantly, you should emphasize any research experience you have. Include the location, the dates, your job title, and the name of the PI or the professor you were working with. You should also include a brief description of what you contributed and who you worked most closely with. This is true even if you refer to that experience in your research statement.
You will also want to include any scholarships or academic awards you've received. Common things include Latin honors at graduation, membership to academic societies, or other relevant awards, even if they don't have a financial component. At the end of the day, your CV is selling your professional experience and education. What accomplishments can you highlight that would give someone on the selection committee confidence in your ability to handle graduate school?
If you're still in school while you're applying, many schools have writing resources that can help you format a proper CV. They can usually help with everything from deciding what should be included or removed to basic copy editing to make sure your formatting is clear and correct. If you're not in school or able to access a resource like that, see if you can find someone in a similar field who wouldn't mind sharing their CV with you. You can also find resources online, but like with anything on the internet, make sure you do your due diligence to confirm that the information you're getting is accurate and appropriate.
Finally, we would be remiss if we didn't address the GRE. The honest truth is that at best the GRE is a poor measure of intelligence or a predictor of future academic success. At worst, it's a significant barrier to applicants that come from underrepresented or economically disadvantaged situations, perpetuating the lack of diversity that we see in many of the sciences. Due to these reasons, UW Biology no longer requires GRE scores as part of their application packet.
Unfortunately, the GRE is still required by many other institutions, and the relationship with the test can vary. Some places use it as an absolute cutoff for applicants, similar to a GPA cutoff. Some use it as a resource or a ground for scholarships. Some put heavy emphasis on it, while others barely give it any consideration at all. Regardless of why an institution asks for the GRE, if it is required, you should complete it 4 to 6 months in advance of the application deadline. Come to the GRE prepared with your list of schools so that you can have your scores sent to them for free at that time rather than paying even more money after the fact to send them later. Finally, do not waste your money on a GRE subject test unless it is explicitly asked for.
If you are interested in reading more about the problems with the GRE and the ways that it has negatively impacted diversity in science, please look up any of the resources that are listed at the end of this video.
The GRE is not the only cost associated with applying to graduate school. Many places require fees when you submit your application, and the costs of those can range widely. Some programs like UW have fee waivers available for those who qualify, even if they aren't advertised. If you are ever concerned about the cost of your applications, we encourage you to reach out to someone in the program and ask if they have fee waivers. Asking does not reflect poorly on you, and many of the programs are happy to help.
Finally, sometimes you can do everything right and still not get the response that you wanted. While that can be very frustrating, it is important to remember that applying to graduate school is a really competitive process, and sometimes there are factors that happen for selection outside of your control. Each year, our department gets hundreds of qualified applicants, but we can only extend offers to less than 10% of them due to resource constraints. If you find yourself in that situation, we highly encourage you to reapply.
Putting together a well-rounded application packet takes time, care, and organization. While this video does not cover every potential requirement, we hope that it helps guide you through the more major components for most programs. If you're interested in learning more about graduate school, please see some of our other videos in this series that cover other topics including how to choose an advisor and more. Good luck, and we hope to see you in the next cohort of UW Biology graduate students.